It's the waitingfornextyear.com podcast. Brian Spaeth is with us to talk about Star Wars. We haven't talked about movies in a long time. There's probably no better way to come out of retirement than for Star Wars, huh?
I agree. Is that like one of those questions where I'm supposed to then go on and on about it? Like, even though it's just kind of like, yes, I agree.
I agree, because, you know, Star Wars is still one of the greatest franchises of the blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for delivering.
Yeah.
And in fairness to you, it was basically like here's an intro, now dance monkey type of a question.
Yes. Yes, please make a confirmation statement.
All right, so Star Wars, how many times have you seen it?
I've seen it twice so far, and I will definitely see it more once we get past Christmas.
Have you seen it in multiple formats?
No, I've seen it in one format. I've seen it on the Cinemark Valley View giant screen there, the XD.
Was that in 3D
have you seen
as
it
well?
Format? No, I have not seen it in 3D.
I have not yet either. I was trying to figure out if it was worth doing that and seeing it in 3D.
Maybe. I don't know. I doubt it. I feel like I'd want to see IMAX 3D, but like I don't really care about regular 3D, I guess.
Yeah, I actually did. When it came out, Jen was out of town, and I actually considered dragging my kids all the way down to Columbus to see it on the at Easton.
The full IMAX.
Yeah, 3D IMAX at Easton. But ultimately, there weren't any tickets in the right spots in the theater for any of the times we could make it. Otherwise, I might have pulled that trigger.
Right. Now, remind me, where are you as far as Star Wars fandom? Like, how do you classify yourself?
I would classify myself as a big fan, but not, hey, I could answer trivia questions kind of a fan.
Okay.
So, I mean, I loved them as a kid. I was one who watched the trilogy a whole bunch of times when I was a kid.
Right.
I had them on VHS and everything, but I never got to the point where I thought about the implications of the relationship between Lando and Han, and I just never.
Right.
I just like the flashing lights in the movies.
Right. No, I'm as anyone who's listened to this for a long time gathered, I'm sure I'm very much in the I cry at press releases about the new movie coming out. I'm very emotional about the whole thing. Which
actually, I mean, that's not. I mean, I also have that kind of panging feeling from the Star Wars stuff. There is such a culture of Star Wars robots at this point who have committed. Yeah. They're like Star Wars Wikipedia walking around.
Right.
And that's where I differentiate. I'm impacted emotionally by it big time.
Yeah, I'm not like a trivia hound, although I do dive down some deep holes at times. I mean, I read some of the current comic books because they all count now. They're canon. I watch Star Wars Rebels, so I consume most of the content, but I don't go to the Reddit board and dive deep on too much stuff. Nor do I care about the kind of the trivial details of the universe and such. I think that's a bit too much, but no, I'm very, very into all of it. I'm very emotional about it. Speaking of emotional, so this is totally off topic, but the Disney bought 20th Century Fox, which means the X-Men and the Fantastic Four are going to be back in the proper Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I assume they'll be totally rebooted, which just makes me so happy. But that is when the press release, that'd been rumored for months, but when the press release came out that made it official, I sat in my car and cried. I was so happy.
I was too, first of all, especially because I love the idea of the Fantastic Four a whole lot more than I've liked the way that they've pulled that off. So I'm really excited for that, but I'm also really excited for I want the Disney Netflix. I want the Disney version of Netflix so that I can pay them to have access to all that stuff I've been such a compiler of the Pixar stuff since the kids were born, and I certainly would love to have access to all the biggest Marvel movies. Just I'm pretty sure I would be a very happy subscriber to that service. And now that it's going to be filled out with 20th Century Fox stuff as well, like sign me up, take my money.
And it's not just the movies; you get all the TV series and all the cartoons, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be immense. All right, so let's talk about The Last Jedi.
Okay.
And let's talk about it the way we used to talk about movies all the time. What were your expectations going in, and then just how did it deliver upon that, and where did it land?
Okay, so my expectations going were very high. I pre-rated this a 10. Okay, and there's a few reasons. One, I love The Force Awakens, and the thing I loved the most about it were all the new characters and kind of the new status quo. So I was really excited to see where Rey and Finn and Poe and all these new characters went next, and Kylo Ren especially. I feel it's just like a great villain. So that was high expectations. 2, it's a new Star Wars movie, so I'm excited. And 3, of course, we're finally going to see what's happening with Luke Skywalker and kind of give him all the revisitation moments that Han Solo already got. And then 4, the writer and director Rian Johnson, I love him. I love all the movies he's done, and I love his TV work too. He wrote and directed some of the best episodes of Breaking Bad. So I thought he was a really interesting guy with a really kind of definitive voice that's kind of right in the type of stuff I like. So I was excited to see what he was going to do also. So my expectations were very, very high.
And then before we dive into the details, how did it land?
For me, it landed. I would say I came out also at a 10. I do have some problems with it, but I was completely entertained. I was emotional. There were 8 separate times I cried. Everything about it, I really, really liked it. So I would say it lived up to my expectations. And that's for some of the very reasons that a lot of people are angry about the movie. So this I think this will be an interesting conversation.
It is, but the first place I want to start is the reaction of my 7-year-old Ben. He came out of it saying that he liked it, but it was definitely not his favorite Star Wars movie ever. And when I pressed him on that, he said easily his favorite Star Wars movie is Rogue One. And I was like, wow, I don't even know quite what to do with that, because I don't think he's like really thought about the trilogy in whole, like any of us, obviously, but just that was his instantaneous reaction on the way out of the theater. We'll see how that develops. But I also found...
I wonder if there's some element of... I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
It's okay.
I was just I wonder if there's some element of Rogue One being like his, Yeah,
I think that's probably true. I mean, we saw it together, and then he saw it in a birthday party. I think he really loved the robot. I can't remember the robot's character name.
A2SO.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it's just interesting. That was like really fun filler for me. I loved Rogue One as like an extra, a bonus Star Wars movie, but it's hard for me to like put it on the same level as this storyline.
Yeah, I would say, Rogue One for me, I liked it, and I was glad they made it, and I thought they did a really nice job. But for me, it was missing some of kind of even though it felt very much like Star Wars, it was missing some of kind of the rollicking adventure type stuff that I like out of Star Wars. I wouldn't call it a fun movie,
No, but it is surprisingly rewatchable. I've caught myself watching it on cable a lot over the last probably 6 months.
Yeah, it's on Netflix right now. I've popped it on also as like background noise quite a bit. So,
all right. So I think that probably concludes the spoiler-free portion of the podcast. I didn't even give a spoiler warning.
Where were you coming in and coming out?
Oh, I was a full-on 10 as well, because I really love The Force Awakens. I love all the things that, like, even the things that people complain about, I kind of just I whitewash it because I just kind of like it. And so my expectations were really high for this one. I thought it came in, right around a 9. Really high, but I definitely had some criticisms. Not major ones, not ones that'll keep me from watching it. I guess somebody asked me for a 1-sentence review, and I said it's really good, and it's going to get even better once they resolve the trilogy in the 3rd movie.
Yeah,
I think it'll go down as a classic.
Pretty solid take. Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Did you ask me something?
No, not yet. So let's get to some of the spoilers, or at least open it up so that you can talk about some of the stuff. Is there a specific place where you think we should talk about some of the criticisms that have been leveled on the film from outside?
Well, I would start with my criticism of it, and my criticism of it is a little bit strange because it's more of a fear of what might come next than what was actually in this movie. Because the way this ended, and we are definitely in spoiler territory now, it was very, you could almost, had this been done a little bit differently, or you could theoretically put a movie before this, if you subtract the fact that, the Rey and Luke stuff takes place directly after The Force Awakens. This feels like almost the end of a trilogy as opposed to the end of the 2nd movie. Because it really kind of resets the table on a lot of stuff. It does. There's not really a big cliffhanger at the end of this, or a great, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Because this could very much just be like, chapter 8 in the ongoing never-ending battle, There was very little here that said to me, like at the end of Empire Strikes Back, you're like, wow, okay, they got to rescue Han, and like Luke just found out like his destiny, and like there's a lot that needs to, like, okay, we know these items are going to need to be resolved in the next movie, and I don't know that this movie leaves you with anything like that at all. There's really nothing that's like, well, here are the things that they're definitely going to do in the next movie, or at least address.
That's a really interesting point, because I think you're right. I think if this was the final movie of a trilogy and all we knew was that Kylo Ren is where he is and Rey is where she is, and we have no idea what happens next, like, that's almost acceptable. And the other part that felt very much to me like this was the finale of a trilogy was just, and this is not, it's not relevant in the Star Wars universe, but it felt like it had 3, maybe I'd have to go back and watch it again and count, but it felt like it had multiple endings or multiple scenes at the end of the movie that could have been the end of the movie. It was very much Return of the King.
Yeah, especially when you go to that, who they're calling Broom Boy now, that very much felt like, yeah, it's a definitive statement that hope is alive and the battle will continue, and it doesn't really matter how it continues. It's just that hope is alive in the galaxy for good to fight evil. And that's like...
And that anybody can be a Jedi.
Yeah. It's... So the reason that scares me is because while I really enjoy J.J. Abrams' movies, they're really fun, and he's really good at creating moments, he's not the... when he... Both in The Force Awakens and then what he's done with Star Trek, like, he really, like, mines what's already there to some extent, and it scares me a little bit that he doesn't have like kind of definitive checkpoints that he needs to head to, because in some ways, like, this movie tore apart while it left kind of a familiar status quo, it also tore apart a lot of what was expected. Snoke died, and Rey's not anybody special other than Rey. There's no, like, okay, JJ, you need to, like, work to hit these checkpoints. It's kind of like wide open, and that's a little bit, I don't know that I like him having that freedom. I mean, that sounds so stupid because he's like JJ Abrams and I'm like, this guy in Cleveland, but clearly he's a smart guy and a very talented guy. But it just leaves me a little bit worried that we kind of took this almost a deconstruction of what we know about, the Force and the Jedi and Star Wars and everything. And I feel like he's just going to want to put it back together again, instead of exploring what it looks like when it's kind of broken apart,
So is that really that much of a risk, the way Disney is attacking these movies and the canon and aren't there people who are helping to determine the places he needs to go? I mean, I'm sure he's got input, of course.
There's definitely there's definitely like an overall thing. And I think that's really, it's weird to think about this as, and again, I felt in a lot of ways that what Rian Johnson did was like a deliberate attempt to make sure that J.J. Abrams, or that episode 9 wasn't just a rehash of Return of the Jedi. Like, he's like, I'm going to make sure it's not just a rehash, by killing the pseudo emperor and doing all these other things, it really felt like that to me. It was almost like he was protecting it from just being a rehash. And that's the thing though. They're going to make episode 10, episode 11. Like, should we even be thinking about this as like a trilogy, or is it just like, part 9 of 47,
Yeah, that's a really good point too, because I've already read, because of what Hollywood has done to us in the last 20 years, I've already read a couple of theories that they're going to break the third movie into 2. It's not going to be just a final. And honestly, maybe that's the next thing that they should do, is break apart the idea that Star Wars needs to be told in trilogies.
Right. Exactly. Unless it does, like I know that, Rian Johnson they gave him a trilogy. They said, go do a trilogy. Like, he has a deal for a trilogy, a Star Wars trilogy that has nothing to do with Skywalkers or the main saga. That's just like, it's all totally new stuff. And in that idea, in that concept, he can say like, okay, I'm going to put together this story that takes place over 3 movies. And so that conceivably, could be a trilogy. But the main, like what they call the main saga, you can't really think of it as a trilogy anymore, because it's not like you're going to do this third movie, like episode 9, and then like we're going to take a break for another 30 years, So I don't know what they do. They could follow the Marvel template, but that would be tough, because you kind of have this episode X, Y, and Z thing in place. And I don't know that you do like a Rey movie and then a Finn movie and then like Star Wars episode 10. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, it's cool. They can do anything, but do we want them to do anything? It's a lot of questions about what happens next.
Yeah. Well, and part of the Marvel model, I think, is ruining Marvel for me a little bit, just because there are so many TV shows on Netflix with Marvel characters, and the universe has gotten so big that I really think it's impossible for most normal people to be completists and have seen everything. And I think that's a problem. It's one of the reasons, it's one of the benefits. It was one of the biggest complaints for Star Wars fans, but it's also one of the benefits to the fan base, is that people could become experts in it. And they're real if they go too overboard and they do 17 TV shows and 24 movies, and I mean, if they don't take their time, it might end up being a little bit tough to build a kind of the same enduring brand. And I don't use the word brand in the way that people hate, but it's just going to be hard for them to continue it if they oversaturate.
Yeah. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. It's as long as they keep making money, they'll keep pumping them out. And I'll go see them. It'll be very hard to put out a Star Wars movie that I won't see like at the earliest possible moment I can. So,
no, I certainly agree with the movies. But I get concerned about like the other stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about this movie in particular. Let's see. I liked what they did with Luke Skywalker, and I liked what they did with Rey. I was really glad that her parents were absolute nobodies, who were just abandoned her and were losers. That's what I really wanted for her. It sounds very cruel, but I just like the idea that she was nobody. One, it makes sure that she's different from Luke. She's not just another like secret child, like who was stashed away on a desert planet. Which I just thought, again, it would just be rehashing what we've already done. What's the point? And from a character standpoint, it's the most dramatic thing you can do. You're taking, it's so on the nose in this movie. I can't help but think that Rian Johnson was intentionally saying, like, I am deviating from what we've done as purposefully as I can. Because her whole thing is like, I just want to know my place in all of this. And later, Kylo Ren is like, you're not part of this story. You're not, like, you're actually not part of this. So it's like, it was cool. Like, you're not part of the Skywalker story. Sorry. And I love that, because you're taking what she wants most in the world and you're just tearing it away from her. And that's the most dramatic thing you can do. You can put your character in the most difficult position possible. You hurt them as much as you can. It sounds really mean, but therein lies like real drama. So,
well, and it also allows her to turn the page.
Yeah. And become her own person. And it's, people, I've had several discussions online and off about all this, and people are like, oh, she should have been a Skywalker. Like, why is she so strong in the Force if she's not a Skywalker, or if she's not a Kenobi? I'm like, well, what? That's so dumb. Like, what about all the thousands of Jedi through like thousands of years? Were they all Skywalkers? Like, why were they strong in the Force? The Force is just strong in some people. Like, it's just like, that's not a good argument. That doesn't even work within Star Wars, because there have literally been like thousands, if not tens of thousands of Jedi Knights, let alone Force strong people. So it just doesn't really work. Like, why can't she be strong in the Force? She just is. So I know some people wanted this promise that she was special, but again, I just thought it was a really strong, like, dramatic choice for her character to actually go against that. So, and as for Luke, I thought what they did, first of all, in the original trilogy, Luke he's adventurous and he can be light, but he is also incredibly cranky, moody, and self-serious. Like, so for him to grow up and be like a crabby old man is not outside the realm of his character at all. It's completely like within his character. And the fact that he like cut himself off from the Force and decided to essentially give up on the fight. I mean, that, first of all, he'd been through a lot of trauma. For a moment, like, almost killed his nephew. I just feel he's had a lot of trauma, and it's understandable that he would, and plus all the things that he fought for and that he thought he won, it all just came crumbling down. The First Order rose, and like, he's like, well, this is just like, it's a never ending fight, and I can't fight anymore. I can't do it anymore. And, it's interesting, because even Mark Hamill himself has said in interviews, he's like, well, I don't necessarily agree with that take on the character, because like, in my view, Jedi don't quit. The thing is, the Jedi all quit. The Jedi, like, if you watch the prequels, the Jedi are terrible at everything. Like, they're really bad at things. And Obi-Wan Kenobi went and lived on the desert by himself, and he quit. Yoda went and shot himself off to a swamp planet. He quit. Like, this is actually what Jedi do. They quit. They're quitters.
That's a really interesting take. But it's also but it's also interesting too, because it takes and it delivers a flaw to these people that we've idolized for 30 plus years, and the idea that every time they make a mistake, Darth Vader happens. Like, right. That's really powerful. That's a really powerful characteristic flaw in Obi-Wan, in Luke, and also a foreshadow potentially for Rey and anything else that goes on as they move along. It puts a chink in the armor of the Jedi, which I think we hadn't really ever considered, I don't think, as kids. And now that we're adults watching Star Wars, we get to consider that.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, the other argument I've seen is, well, it really taints the end of Return of the Jedi that he just didn't, like, that everything wasn't perfect. I'm like, well, how many people do you know? Luke was probably 25 at the end of Return of the Jedi. Like, how many people do you know that lived happily ever after from age 25 on? Like, just had nothing else happen to them. They just, like, sat around, like, reveling in their heroic past. Like, it's just not a realistic portrait of a human being. at all. That he basically never did anything else. So, no, I understand we're working in fantasy. It's science fiction, but it's also fantasy. So there is some element of like happily ever after and all that stuff. It's part of the genre. But if you're going to revisit it, you better do something with the characters. What do these people want? They just want Luke like sitting in a chair somewhere being like, yes, everything is great. Everything's perfect.
Well, that's one thing that we know for sure is that if they delivered the exact movie that fans agreed upon, that it would be the worst thing ever. Like, I think we've talked about this with TV shows, even all the way back to Lost. Like, if you create something based on like popularity polls, that's not art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the great Stan Lee himself said one of his big rules. He said, "Never give the fans what they want, ever, because you have to toy with their emotions. You have to create drama." But the other thing, this thing where everyone wanted Rey to be like a Skywalker, like Luke's daughter, like whatever. Like so they say Luke is like mischaracterized in this movie. How exactly would they feel about Luke if Rey was his daughter and he abandoned her on a desert planet as a child so that she could live in a dead at like and basically work as a slave? Like, he's basically, they want Luke to be a deadbeat dad, like the ultimate deadbeat dad. Like, so that doesn't work either.
Yeah, well, and in fairness, we didn't know how or why he was on that island until this movie. But I'm with you. I get it.
Right. Yeah. There could have been many reasons that she was there and not with him if he was her father. Yes, that's absolutely true. But anyway, I just think the thing that Luke is like not, that they betrayed the character somehow here. It's like actually a great affirmation for the character that he lost his way and found his way back and remembered who he was and did the right thing. That's awesome. That's like a great character arc. I love it. And the stuff with Yoda, first of all, when Yoda's head like showed up there, I immediately started like outright bawling. And like, I cried through the entire scene. But what Yoda says to him is so awesome. He's like, first of all, get over yourself, you dope. Like just get over yourself. But then he also says, the Jedi text, all this, it's a bunch of crap. It's just a bunch of words. None of it matters. What matters is who you are and what you do. That's your character. And you're so hung up on all this crap. You lost your way. And it gets it. And I also love what Yoda says. He says, that part of being a Jedi Master is that your apprentice like moves away from you and finds their own path and frankly knows more than you about what they need in some ways. So and if you think about it, like Luke is really maybe the one who taught Yoda that, because Luke, when he was training on Dagobah, Yoda's like, you can't go, you have to finish your training. And Luke's like, screw you, I'm going to save my friends. And Yoda, here in the afterlife realizes like, yeah, like that was the right thing for him, even though I didn't feel like it was. That's what he had to do. And that's okay. So I get a little choked up talking about this stuff. It's all very emotional for me. So anyway, I just thought all of it was really well done. I thought they made the difficult choices instead of the easy choices.
So speaking of difficult choices, let's talk about the fact that they through Poe and then through John Boyega's character, Finn, mm-hmm. they taught us that not every like balls to the wall, I've got to be the hero mission is a good idea.
Yeah. And I loved also what that whole thing brought into the resistance for me that I really liked is, the rebellion has always been painted as this, at least in the original trilogy, it's just like this gang of do-gooders who, we all believe in each other and we always do the right thing. And this is a much more realistic portrayal of like, no, there's going to be people who disagree. And all this crap's a mess. And we had a mutiny in the resistance. It was really cool. I thought it was it's just, there's so much more depth of character in these than what we've seen previously. And great. It's kids entertainment. Like, but this is, we've talked a lot in the past about all ages entertainment. And this makes, this to me is a Star Wars movie that is much more all ages, because there's things that you and I can take from this that, you know, our kids can't, because they just don't know yet. So this was very all ages for me. I thought that's why I really thought it was great. I thought it was well done, and they like Yoda. It was total fan service, but it was actually necessary and well done. It wasn't like a wink and nod. It was like, yeah, of course Yoda needs to show up there and set him straight, you know? There was another moment that worked like that. Oh, when R2 shows him the original Princess Leia hologram, like total fan service, but also totally perfect in that moment. It like totally worked.
It took moody Luke, and it said, "Wake up, stupid."
Yeah.
Which was totally cool.
Yeah. And it's funny, the more, now that I have dogs and I'm like a dog guy, I totally like, it's totally apparent to me that like the template for the droids are dogs. Like that's how, I never knew that before because I never had dogs, but like I totally, like that's Luke's old dog. Like, it's like essentially Luke's old dog came up and licked him on the face and was like, come on, man, like be Luke, you know? It's just really, yeah, I just thought it was perfect. So, you know, these are all, a lot of these things, especially the Luke stuff, are things that really have people divided. And I'm not sure why, because I just thought it was great. I thought what they did with him was really interesting and really, really kind of perfect. It's almost like they have this idealized version of Luke from the original trilogy that maybe they should go back and watch those movies. Because like Luke was not perfect. He was impulsive and crabby and
a whiner.
Didn't always make great decisions. What's up?
And a whiner.
Yeah, he was a whiner, especially in the first one. The other thing, and I wish they had touched on this actually, and I thought they might. But you know, in Return of the Jedi, when Luke is in the Emperor's chamber and he's fighting Darth Vader, and especially at the end when he gets Vader down and he's bashing on him, like really, he's like bashing on him. You remember this? And the Emperor's like, yes, your anger hurts you, and like you see it in his eyes. He is like. He is on the verge of turning to the dark side. Like it's happening. Like, so in my eyes, Luke has touched the dark side. He's at least like flirted with it, even if just for those moments. And that is something that like, if they had wanted to play with that, I thought could have been really interesting to call back to that moment. Be like, you know, I've touched the dark side. I know what it does to someone. And frankly, I mean, to make him a little bit afraid of himself, like, did I touch it too much? Can I even trust myself? To have that torture him for like, you know, 30 years would be kind of interesting. So, but they didn't really touch on that. But even that, for him to know, like, yeah, I could be turned to the dark side. Like, yeah, I'm capable of it. Like, I would think that would really make him like, yeah, I have to, like, I could turn, like my nephew's about to turn, like, forget it. I'm cutting myself off. This is all, I can't do this anymore. I'm too tortured, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I thought that they played with that really well, especially in the scene. I'll call it the throne room. I don't know what you want to call it. But that entire scene, and that's really what Star Wars is about. Is every movie having one of those scenes that goes into the top 10 of all time Star Wars scenes. Is that the scene for you in this movie that probably catapults into the top scenes in the history of Star Wars movies?
Oh yeah, that entire, from the moment he kills Snoke to when he makes that offer to her, it was just like, and then they pull the lightsaber apart. It was, especially when they first go back to back in that slow motion and they're starting to fight together. I was like, holy crap, what are we seeing? Because like, that's something we've never seen before, is like, you know, it would be like Vader and Luke like teaming up to fight like a bunch of stormtroopers. Like oh god, it was so awesome. I swear to God, I like wanted to scream like in the theater, like yes, oh my god.
And I had no idea which way it was going to go after they were done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it could have gone either way. I half wish she had left with him. If only that she could, like, you know, because she thinks she can turn him. But yeah, that scene was amazing, and I love that they killed Snoke. All the people want to know Snoke's like origin and all this. I don't get it. Like, we never knew the Emperor's origin in the original trilogy. Like, we didn't know anything about him.
And maybe we will.
Frankly, yeah, we still could, exactly. Like, maybe we'll see how he first touched Kylo. Who knows? But, like, all I know is when we did learn the Emperor's origin in the prequels, it was, like, the worst thing ever. It was, like...
This is just people trying way too hard to find things that they think that they want to know more about because they weren't covered. Like, people are just trying to be interesting and different when they come up with stuff like that. I just don't. You can't criticize a movie for what we don't find out about a character unless they say, all right, that's the last Star Wars movie. We're never going to learn anything about any of these people ever again. It's over.
Yeah. No, it's funny because, like, the hardcore Star Wars fans, like most of them complain about the prequels, but, like, they're also, the things they're complaining about in this movie, they're asking for the prequels. Like, they're actually asking for what they said they hate. Like, they want to know everything. And, like, they seem to have forgotten that when they learned everything, they hated it.
Yeah. No,
so
they just they hate their dad. They hate George Lucas.
So anyway,
all right. Well, I have one more thing I want to ask you about, and then I unless you've got some final thoughts, I think we pretty much wrapped it up.
For hours, but I got to get ready for Christmas.
Yes. So what did you think about? I'm trying to remember some of the other fake outs, but the one that sticks out to me most is when we, for a minute or a 30-second period, we thought they were back on the ice planet Hoth.
Oh. Yeah, I didn't think it was Hoth.
Really?
At any time. Yeah. Because I remember them saying it was a mining planet or something. I swear they say something.
Well,
or maybe
anyway.
it's just that I'd seen the trailer and I'd seen that imagery with that red stuff underneath, so, like, I knew it wasn't. I don't know. But no, I never thought that.
Okay, I did.
But I realize now, yeah, they probably wanted people to think that. If I hadn't seen the trailer, I probably would have thought that.
The way they escape to the planet and they close the door, just like they had to close the door when Luke, when Luke was out there.
Yeah, no, now that you're saying this, I realize that's probably what they were doing, and that's probably why they had all those close-ups. Like when the guy steps out there and drags his foot and the red comes out. That's probably what that was. But I never even thought they were doing that. But I'm sure you're right. Yeah.
Okay, good. Were there any other kind of nods or fake outs that just stick out as notable?
No, I wish somebody would hug Chewbacca the first time they see him. Like
everybody should.
I know, like when in Force Awakens, when, like, Chewie comes back from Han dying, like, he just, like, walks by Leia. She doesn't even acknowledge him. And the first time Luke sees him, he's like, "What are you doing here?" Like, I wish someone would be really happy to see Chewbacca. That's what I would like.
What did you think about? No, we have to address this because everybody's addressed this. Leia's space flying.
Oh, I didn't love it. I thought it was weird. Everything. It's weird because of what happened with Carrie Fisher. Like, everything in that, all the time she was in peril in this movie, it just played. It kind of took me out of the movie because I'm like, oh, are they going to do it here to service the fact that she died in real life, or, like, is this what was actually in the script the first time, but they changed it? Like, you know what I mean? I was thinking of behind the scenes manipulations instead of, like, just watching what was happening. So
I agree with you. It was very distracting.
Yeah, it was hard. And that's look, they had no way around that. Like, they can't not put her in peril in the movie just because of that.
Yeah, but when she exploded into space, that could have been it.
Yeah. They could have done it there. And I am sure had the movie not already been done, essentially, when she died, they probably would have had her be the one who, like, drives the freighter into the giant Star Destroyer, and given her that sacrifice.
Speaking of which, I thought Laura Dern was super distracting. She's a great actress and I like her, but I would have rather had an anonymous actress in that role.
Just because you saw Laura Dern.
It pulled me way out of it.
Yeah. I liked her character, though. I thought she did a good job. But
I thought
I wish
so
she was
too.
still alive. I would have liked to see. I love when there's new characters. Like, I just wish I wish she hadn't died.
She's going to be the heart of the Rian Johnson trilogy.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? So, yeah. Anyway, I was happy. I'll be seeing it many more times.
Yes,
both in the theater and in my life.
We're definitely going to see it on vacation.
Yeah. So, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thanks so much for coming on and talking about movies. People, we used to talk on the podcast all the time, and we talk like at least pretty much every week now, but we just don't podcast anymore.
Yeah. I know. We should just flip the thing on. But, I'd be happy to come back and do Infinity War when that comes out in May.
Dude, that trailer was really, really... I hadn't seen the trailer before, and when it popped up before Star Wars, I loved it.
Yeah, I can't really. So I'd watch it, 20 times at home on my laptop. But like when I saw it in the theater, I again started crying. I was just like, I can't believe we're gonna see this. Like I'm just like so happy. They're like, get this man a shield, and he walks out. Like it's awesome.
Oh, it's gonna be great. All right, well, thanks. Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas to you, Brian. Thanks so much for coming on.
All right, thanks, you too.
Until next time, everybody. Bye. It's been the waitingfornextyear.com podcast. Hey, everybody. It's the waitingfornextyear.com podcast. I'm your host, Craig Lindell, and today my co-host is... Who are you?
Ben Lindell.
Ben Lindell. My 7-year-old son, Ben, who is the only one who has seen Star Wars The Last Jedi with me so far. I think the rest of the family will see it sometime over the holiday, maybe when we're on vacation. But we're going to talk about the movie a little bit. There are probably going to be some spoilers because I assume Ben's going to talk about everything that happened in the movie. So if you don't want to hear spoilers or you haven't seen the movie yet, wait before you listen to this podcast until you go see the movie itself. So Ben, first of all, when we were leaving the movie theater, you said that it wasn't your favorite Star Wars movie of all time.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Star Wars movie of all time so far?
My favorite Star Wars movie of all time is probably Rogue One.
Probably Rogue One. Okay. And Rogue One is really good. Is there a reason after watching The Last Jedi that it missed the mark a little bit, or was Rogue One just that good?
Rogue One was just that good.
So did you overall enjoy The Last Jedi?
Yes.
What did you like most about The Last Jedi?
When Kylo Ren tries to kill Luke, but it's a vision.
Oh, like hologram Luke?
Yeah.
That was your favorite scene in the whole thing?
Yeah.
Why? Because he tricked them?
No, because he screams.
Oh, because Kylo Ren was all ticked off?
Yeah.
What did you think of that scene with Snoke? Is it Snoke?
Yeah, yeah.
When they're in that room all together, it's Kylo Ren, Rey, and Snoke. And what did you think of that scene overall? Was that like pretty intense?
Yeah. Plus there were red guards, which is one of the most powerful guards. I don't know. I think they're like a type of robot. It's inside a red suit.
You thought they were robots or something? They were certainly powerful. They were tough to defeat. Rey and Kylo Ren had to defeat them together, which was pretty crazy. What did you think about the extra characters in the movie?
Like who?
Well, we were introduced to Rose.
Oh, yeah.
Rose and Finn. What did you think about Rose and Finn?
I don't know. They didn't really do anything super important.
And by the end of the movie, it seemed like maybe they were going to fall in love, right?
No.
What do you mean, no?
That would be weird.
Why would that be weird?
I don't know.
Well, Finn was like standing over her while she was recovering from that plane crash.
Huh?
What?
So?
Why would that be weird?
I don't know.
Are people allowed to fall in love in Star Wars?
I don't know, yeah. Because people have.
But you would prefer if they didn't?
And they didn't.
And they didn't? Why would you prefer if they didn't?
I don't know.
You don't like love stories?
Nope.
You'd prefer just action and fighting and
Yes, pretty much.
What did you think about Yoda?
He was very little, but he was in the story.
Right, I know he was there and he was in the story.
Well, Yoda wasn't, but Yoda's ghost was.
So, was that exciting to you when Yoda showed up in the movie?
No.
It was just kind of whatever?
You didn't need him.
Okay. Why didn't you need him?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, Luke could have just set the tree on fire.
He could have set the tree on fire by himself?
Like he said he would.
Oh.
He was about to, then he paused, but then Yoda's ghost showed up and did it.
Just did it for him?
Yeah.
What did that mean to you? Because to me that meant that that Luke was obsessing over this tree as if it really meant something, and Yoda kind of showed him that, dude, it's just a thing.
Well, the tree did mean something. There were books of the Jedi inside of it.
But I think the lesson he was teaching Luke was that the books were just books, and that the real lessons that he could teach Rey were the life lessons of somebody who'd been through everything that Luke's been through. Because we've been following Luke since, the early movies, right? So he's obviously learned a lot. Do you think there's anything to that maybe he could... What do you think he could teach Rey?
I have no idea. Whatever Yoda taught him.
Whatever Yoda taught him?
Taught him.
Yeah. So now that you've seen this one, how excited are you for the final installment of the Star Wars trilogy? This trilogy. What do you think's going to happen? What happens to Rey and Kylo Ren?
They're thrown into space and they land on a planet.
Right.
And continue their battle.
You think they're going to battle one more time?
Continue it.
Who's going to win?
I don't know. Whoever uses the Force to fix the lightsaber.
Okay.
Which broke when the huge battleship blew up. Well, it got cut in half.
Mm-hmm. So you think whoever is able to fix the lightsaber is going to win?
Yeah.
So the key is the lightsaber?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or whoever is able to use the Force better, because they'll be able to kill their enemy with the Force.
So who do you think, if you just had to guess or bet, who do you think, if I said you have to bet $100, who would you pick, Rey or Kylo Ren?
Kylo Ren.
You think?
Yeah.
Man,
because he's had more experience.
He's definitely had more experience. And his parents are definitely more powerful. I mean, when you think about the fact that his mom is Princess Leia.
Yeah, and his dad is Han Solo.
Yeah.
Who survived many ship escapes in the Millennium Falcon.
So, what did you think about the fact that we found out Rey's parents were not anybody? They were just common people. How did that make you feel?
They weren't just common people. Rey had no parents. She was made from nothing.
Well, no, that's not what they were saying. They were saying they were nobodies, like they were whatever kind of people. She didn't come from nothing. She had parents, but the parents were not like important. A lot of people after the first movie thought that her parents were, they thought maybe her dad was Luke Skywalker. Did you think that?
No.
Okay.
I thought that would be weird because they were the ones to meet.
Oh, right. Do you think it's interesting that somebody so strong and so connected to the Force could come from parents that are kind of whatever? Wouldn't you expect her to come from Jedis?
No.
No?
Not really. Plus, she was
Why not?
Plus, she was found on Jakku,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much nowhere. So, and pretty much no Jedis come there. Not a lot of them come to Jakku.
Yeah.
Plus, they've never had a base on Jakku.
Okay.
Or anywhere. Like that island on, I don't know where it was actually.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about with this movie?
Not really.
Did you think it was too long or too short?
No,
You thought it was just right?
I guess.
Are you happy you saw it?
Yes.
Are you happy it was made?
No.
What do you mean no? You wish it wasn't made?
What? It could have been different.
How would you have made it different?
I don't know. Have Ray's parents actually be nobody?
Would you have liked to gotten to know her parents?
Yeah, pretty much. That would make it longer and better.
You'd like to know more about her? Who's your
Yeah.
favorite character from the movie? Who was your favorite character coming into the movie? And did it change when you were done watching the movie? Coming into the movie, who's your favorite?
Kylo Ren and no.
So you went into it with Kylo Ren being your favorite, and you left the movie with Kylo Ren being your favorite?
Yep.
Okay.
Also because I like his lightsaber form, because it has the two blades.
It has the extra blades on the handle.
I think that's cool.
I think it's cool too. So.
It's like showing off, though.
Oh, you think it's a little bit showy?
Yeah, because that's showing you can handle a lightsaber with 2 points poking out, and he never actually uses them for anyone.
So you're right, there is no practical purpose for him. He's just kind of a show-off.
Yeah.
What did you think about...
it could have been like Darth Vader.
Yeah. What did you think about Snoke telling him to take that stupid mask off?
I don't know.
And then he smashed it in the elevator. Kylo Ren has a lot of...
Why would he smash it?
He has a lot of temper tantrums, that guy, doesn't he?
Yeah, but that's my question. Why did he smash it?
I think he was embarrassed because Snoke, made fun of him for it.
Because he said he looks too much like Han Solo.
Or Darth Vader?
No, Han
Solo?
He looks nothing like Anakin, so I'm betting he looks nothing like... Well, they're the same person, really.
Right. Okay. So then, I guess last but not least, what did you think about the animals, the porgs?
Oh, you mean the small little guys?
Yeah, and then the ice foxes and all that stuff. Did you like all those extra characters?
Yeah, but my favorite was the little guys with the small little wings.
Were those the ones hanging out with Chewbacca, the porgs? Yeah. How cool is it to have Chewbacca back in a movie?
I don't know. It was in the last movie, but not Rogue One.
Right. Well, Rogue One was kind of a different timeline almost.
Yeah, it was showing how they got the plans for the Death Star.
Why is that one your favorite? I'm just curious.
I don't know. They show Finn.
No, they don't.
Well, they show Darth Vader, I think.
Yeah. You like all those extra characters.
Yeah.
Like the
like characters you wouldn't need
in another movie.
In this, no characters you wouldn't need in the movie you're watching are usually my favorite because they don't make a difference.
So you think that they're just more creative to have those extra characters?
Yeah, like the Porg.
Yeah. Well, and the robot in Rogue One was certainly the funniest robot of them all.
Yeah, definitely. definitely.
Why'd you like him the best?
Who?
What joke did you think was the funniest?
I don't know. Did you know that was not me?
Oh, did you know that was right when she shoots the other one who looks like him?
Yeah. She's like, did you know that? He's like, did you know that wasn't me? 'Cause she was really surprised because she thought it was the robot.
But she kind of lied.
And then he was right next to her.
All right. Well, I think that's it. Are you excited to see it again?
No.
You don't want to see it again?
I don't want to.
Oh, I can't wait to see it again. I'm going to realize so many more things the second time around. Because I'll know the major parts that are coming. I'll be able to pay attention to the smaller details as they come up. That's not exciting to you?
No.
No. You do a lot of that lately where you think you're too cool for the movie. You think all movies are kind of dumb.
No, I think the movies are kind of weird after. Because, why do you want to watch it again if you've already watched it? I mean...
Well, you miss things the first time around and you catch different things the second time around.
Like what?
I don't know. I need to see it again. I could tell you.
Are there any other movies that you've seen twice?
I saw... I didn't see Rogue One twice, but I saw The Force Awakens twice. I saw it once with Mommy without you, and then I saw it with you.
What did you find about that?
It was just more fun when the major plot points weren't a surprise, but I could really dig into where they were telling stories. And you're not surprised about, well, this character does this and then he does that, but you listen to the way they talk or the things that they say and the points in the dialogue a little more closely.
Like what?
I don't have an example. I haven't seen The Force Awakens in quite a while, so I end up forgetting that stuff. But I feel like I learn more about it the second time.
Okay.
You don't think you could learn more about it the second time?
I mean, what else is there to learn about it?
I mean, maybe nothing. Maybe we shouldn't watch these things twice. You don't want to watch them twice?
I don't.
Not even for popcorn?
No.
Do you like going to the movies?
I prefer to watch them at home.
I guess. I like going to the movies. I like buying popcorn and...
Because then you can actually bring snacks to the movie.
You don't like eating their snacks?
Well, I feel like the snacks are limited.
They are.
Which they are, so...
Well, if you could have any snack in the movie, what would you take?
A slushie.
Well, they have slushies. I just don't buy them for you because they're filled with sugar.
So
you would have a slushie. What else? You just want a slushie and candy.
A full-size gummy worm pack.
Wait, so when we saw The Last Jedi, what did I give you to eat?
M&M's.
No. A full-size Snickers bar, didn't I?
I guess.
So we did. Oh, anyway, this is going too long. Any parting thoughts, Ben?
No.
You just want to stop?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this has been the waitingfornextyear.com podcast. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Until next time. You going to say goodbye?
Nope.
You're not going to say goodbye?
Nope.
All you have to do is say goodbye. This has been Ben Lindell.
No thanks.
All right. See you next time.